Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I cheated and ruined my life and all the shit in between TLDR. I had everything a girl could ever want. Our bond was absolutely extraordinary. We share the same interests and hobbies. He got me into Nintendo gaming, which I absolutely adored. I got him into thrifting and reselling a bit online. Every second we spent together was magical. Due to some things going on at home, having been trapped in the same house with my family for most of 2020 and my family being increasingly upset with me over my addiction to weed, as was in their right, we made the foolish decision to move in together. I had been through the worst time of my life in 2020. Got rejected from the Navy after 2 years of work on my waiver and putting all of my hopes and dreams into it. One phone call, done. Was already using weed to cope with the world coming apart at the seams and started using it even more. All day every day high as absolute duck. Had no friends by that point because weed worsened my social anxiety immensely and made me want to constantly isolate myself, and all of the friends I had anyways were very bad influences on me. Even though I was down in the shit myself, I knew subconsciously that I had even less of a chance of changing if I kept them around. Also the extreme shame I felt from being strung along by the Navy for 2 years and having to own that to everyone I knew completely debilitated me. So I cut them off one by one and became even more mentally sick, because how the duck is someone with a crippling weed dependency and worsening social anxiety and not an ounce of happiness to their name, let alone nowhere to meet new people? How is that person supposed to have a chance in hell of getting somewhere? Every time I desperately craved and needed the comfort of a friend, I would just go smoke. Sometimes, more times than I'd like to admit, I'd go sit in the back parking lot of my high school right down the road, graduated 2019, late at night, and I'd get high as duck and reminisce on the last time I felt like I was part of something bigger than myself and had friends who I cared about, and it made me feel as close as I could get to comfort. Sometimes I'd even look in the windows to see the classrooms I'd been in, leeching up any scraps of memories I could find. I can't believe I did that. 2020 ended, finally. I've always butted heads with my dad because he's been an aloof, sarcastic asshole my entire life, always a ducking problem with something. He's not completely to blame. I've been far from perfect myself. After all, I'm exactly like him. I made really poor decisions in high school and made friends who were similarly stupid, and we encouraged each other to the point where by junior year I had a trespassing, breaking and entering, we just vandalized an old shed, don't worry, and 2 shoplifting charges. Why was I such a duck up for so long? Needless to say, this caused massive family tensions. I have since forgiven myself for this because I was a child and I was having serious anxiety and emotional issues I could hardly explain to myself, let alone anyone else. But man, it was bad. Why did I do that shit? Anyways. January 2021. My parents want me out ASAP. I loved them, I loved all of my siblings, I never treated them poorly or anything like that, but weed had massive effects on my behavior, and it was most apparent to the people closest to me. It affected everyone in the household and they wanted it gone. Fair. I heard them when they said their piece, but I was just trying to survive. Once you've literally trauma bonded with weed, it's gonna take another trauma to unbond it. I have to try really hard not to hate myself for what a stupid weak bitch I was. What the duck did I expect? They knew every part of my process with the Navy, how hard I'd worked and how much of my identity was tied up into that working out. But it didn't matter because they felt like I was dealing with it in the worst possible way. I was. I didn't have anything else. I'd stopped going to church in early 2020. Didn't have a shred of structure. Just smoked and felt okay and was depersonalized and derealized all of the ducking time. Permanent fog. I can't believe I did that to myself. It's hard to believe that it was actually me and not just somebody else. Anyways. Nick. We had worked at the same place in summer 2020, a grocery store. He was a meat cutter and I was a seasonal hire for personal shopping due to the increase in online orders from COVID. We had chatted as co-workers and gone on a very awkward date later in the summer. He was such a kind, genuine person and I was struggling so much. I was violently depressed because of how much I was smoking and how little structure I had. I had to force myself to go on that date. Not at all because of him, it was just me being high and lazy. Super awkward, I was completely detached and he was trying really hard. I wanted to be myself and be hopeful so badly but I couldn't. Why was I such a wreck? We just didn't talk after the date, stayed friends on social media though. My dad claimed to know nothing about cars and wouldn't try to help me shop for my first one. Yeah Dad, I know you're not a mechanic, but can you just be supportive and help me out? I'm 19 and depressed and clueless. Whatever, it's Dad. So I was forced to rely on what was my best, only, option at the time. Justin, the toothless redneck other meat cutter who also flipped cars part-time to finance his addictions. We would sit in his car sometimes after work and smoke together, absolutely nothing else, and I say that because I found out afterwards, when Nick and I were together, that he would brag about how much I liked him and would say the most repulsive things about what he wanted to do to me sexually to anyone within earshot. Tucking inbred degenerate. We were smoking buddies and nothing else. He'd show me pictures of his kids and we'd shoot the shit. How was I supposed to know? When I told him I was looking for a car and was wondering if he had any guidance, he practically threw himself at my feet, said he would do all of the car shopping for me and send me pictures of the good ones to pick from. Hell yeah. Thanks. So we did that and he found me an awesome, or so I thought at the time, because I had to sell it less than a year later at a $3,100 loss because my good buddy Justin is a crackhead moron and he got me a lemon Jeep Commander. I hadn't been working at the grocery store for months now but I stopped back in to catch Justin and say thank you for helping me out so much with finding the car. He had just left, but Nick was still there. I remembered our awkward date that summer and turned right back around to go back out to the car. I got there and I was like, bitch. You have been absolutely desperate for a friend for months. Get your dumb ass back in there and go ask that perfectly nice, handsome guy to hang out or so help me. So I did. His face absolutely lit up when I asked if he wanted to hang out a few days later at his place and he could teach me how to play some Switch games. The day came and our connection was absolutely magical. I was sober for a short time at that point. I think out of sheer desperation to escape I found the strength to take a TB for a while. So he got to fall in love with the real me before I locked her away again. He saw how badly I was struggling and he just wanted to help and protect me. Things moved really fast after that. I was over at his place all the time, we would cook dinner together all the time and he'd play his guitar for me even though he was very shy. We played together all the time. I will never be able to play Mario Odyssey again because of how much we loved it together. We were so in love. We were best friends, we supported each other in absolutely everything, we shared every thought and worry we had with each other. I will never again get close to what we had. After some particularly nasty arguments with my parents about my life choices and getting the duck out of their house, and having shared all of it with Nick, we discussed moving in together and it sounded like a really good idea. We were completely smitten with each other. Him and his roommate John were already planning on either John buying a house or moving into a bigger place. Rent would be cheaper for everyone. It was just 20 minutes from my parents. We're stupid and naive and we just wanted to spend all of our time together. We ignored and explained our way out of our parents' concerns and went right for it. I got a storage locker right around the corner for my inventory of my reselling business. Boom, done, locked in. It was so amazing. We were so happy together, got along beautifully. All the while I was struggling immensely. I've never been good at letting other people in on it. Not only did weed make my mind weak and soft and pleasure seeing like crazy, it made me lose touch with reality and the depth and importance of things about everyday life. I was in the absolute best time of my life, and all I could think about was getting high. All I could remember was getting high and how good it felt because weed ruined my memory. I have always been an extremely high-functioning, high-performing person, so if you knew me at the time you'd probably be like, what are you talking about? Stop making excuses. I wish I was lying about this stuff. About how I put weed above everything else because I couldn't imagine living without it. About how I had the American dream right in my ducking hands and I threw it away. About how I betrayed and cheated on the love of my life, multiple times, for nothing. Andrew is my ex-boyfriend. We met when I was 16, even more naive and with a tendency to form extreme anxious attachments to people. I've had to learn not to blame myself for that, it makes me want to ducking die. I was just a kid trying to make friends, and because dad couldn't stop chasing the military trying to be a pilot, we were moved all over the country every 2 years or less, usually less, and I got to watch every friendship and bond I had fall to nothing. I'm someone who puts my heart and soul into friendships, can't help it. And you don't just get that back when it ends. And it ended, over and over, and ducking over again. I had it a lot better than most, don't get me wrong. I love my family and I don't blame my parents at all for how things were. But the instability and repeated heartbreak I faced as a child has had massive effects on my psyche and how I view the world. It is what it is. A lot of times I wish I could remember my friends' faces and maybe just have one more day with them. Anyways. Andrew. Ducking Andrew. He began cheating on me almost immediately. 2 months in. He came to me and confessed it the first time he did it, and I was so in love and so absolutely shocked by what he'd done that I just pushed it away and committed to forgiving him. Didn't see any change, hardly demanded any, just forgave him right away like the stupid little ducking 16-year-old I was. I don't remember in detail a lot of the rest. I wasn't smoking by then, it was just massively traumatic and I've tried very hard to forget it by now. Details don't matter anyways. He cheated, I forgave, he cheated, I forgave, he cheated, I forgave. Over and over and ducking over again, and I called it love. He was the first guy to make me feel beautiful and wanted, and I ducking desperately needed that. Why didn't I have a shred of self-esteem, of awareness? Why? A recruiter came to his school one day and he scheduled a meeting because he didn't want to go to college. He told me about it and said he probably was just gonna skip it. I heavily encouraged him to go just to check it out and see what they have to offer. I told my mom he was going and she secretly texted him to tell him to bring me along because I don't have any sort of plan either, and she wanted to save me from the criminal lifestyle I'd been tied up in. I love my mom, she's always looking out for me. We went together. He's a nuclear officer now going on 3 years. I'm sitting in my parents' basement writing a Reddit post. Not that I'm truly jealous, the military would suck the remaining soul and life right out of me. I'm glad for it now. Andrew and I kept it up even after he left for the military. Letters in boot camp and all that. I came to his graduation ceremony with his family that fall and we had unprotected sex in the hotel room, and a few weeks later I found out I was pregnant. I had an abortion. This was 2019. Flew down to see him before then and told him. He didn't pressure me at all towards a decision, but we both knew that no one wanted a baby. I was intensely morning sick from the day I found out and I never told my family. Went with a friend to Planned Parenthood, took a pill, abnormally heavy period and extreme pain, then it was done. The amount of traumatic shit I've subjected myself to in my short 20 years is staggering to me. Anyways. Nick and I started dating mid-January. I moved in about mid-February. I was struggling with my personal demons but was so committed to loving and taking care of Nick. I hadn't been going to church since early 2020, but I still prayed and I had begged God to send me a good guy that I could love and take care of. I promised God that I would take care of him. Mid-March, I got a text from my mom. Guess who I just saw at Vitale's? Vitale's is where I used to work, where I met Andrew, where my mom and sister still work. It's like an inside joke, everybody has worked at Vitale's. She just wanted to gossip. I knew, instantly, in the pit of my stomach, who she must be referring to. They let nukes go home 1 or 2 a year. I tried, so hard, to suppress my thoughts and focus on the goodness I was cultivating in my life. I tried too hard to ignore the past and not be dragged back. It didn't matter. The devil is real and he works and works and works on people, and I was completely defenseless, haunted, weak, and worse, I was comfortable. Looking back, I had zero chance. I'm not making excuses. It's just extremely sad how awful of a position I put myself in. No structure, no friends, living with the person I was terrified of losing, existing day to day in a derealized haze, and again faced with the greatest obstacle I have ever dealt with in my life. Staying far, far away from Andrew. Why didn't I confide in Nick? Why was I so stupid? I agonized about it for a day or two, then I went back on my old Instagram to just check. Just to check. I promised, I swore up and down to myself it was just to check. And there it was, the message I knew would be there. We met up a few times that March. I genuinely don't remember how many, but it wasn't much. He was already a week into his month off when I got the message, and the last week he spent up north with his dad's family. We ducked, we drank, we relived old comforts and the sad traces of the connection we used to have. Why the duck did I do that? So shameful, so disgusting, so cliché. I had everything I needed with Nick and I still needed more. Weed made me feel like nothing was ever enough. I needed to get higher and higher and smoke more and more, and I acted it out with Andrew as well. He went back to Virginia and I felt free. He wanted to text and call all of the time, but mostly I said no or ignored him because it made me feel like the worst person in the world, doing what I was doing. We didn't even have anything to talk about anymore, no real connection. Pathetic. But then I smoked and everything was fine. I don't need to take accountability, everything's fine. I can fix this by myself, and Nick will never have to know how far I've fallen or what I've done to our beautiful relationship, and I'm fine and it's fine. Then in August, Andrew said he really missed me and I wanted more, so I agreed to fly down and see him. I didn't want to at all at first, but he paid for everything. I was bought like the whore I was. I told Nick I was going up north with my family. He believed me because he's kind and trusting, and I had given him no reason to doubt me. He was a good, genuine person and an amazing partner, and I ducking used that for my own sick, disgusting purposes. I thought I was going to be able to make it through this without losing it. I have never before experienced anxiety like what I felt before, during, and after that trip. I have no clue how I kept doing what I was doing. I really don't. I don't remember a large majority of the details. I was smoking even more to deal with my guilt. I flew down for 2 days. In those 2 days I threw up about 6 times from the stress and disgust I felt for myself and what I was doing and had already done. I don't know how I kept on with what I was doing. It haunts me, every second of every day since December 13th when Nick saw the picture. After begging myself in my head for months, pleading with myself to take a tolerance break and stop what I was doing to myself, I was able to force myself into it by coming up with Sober October. Stupid, right? Well, it worked. October 1st came and I made myself flush my last gram. Made plans to get more, but then just didn't. One day turned into another. I'm still really proud of myself for dragging my way through it. It was so hard. My anxiety and eating was so tough. But I had Nick, and even better, I had myself back. Andrew was out on carrier duty for the entire month and didn't have internet access. I've never felt so free. Just blissful happiness and rediscovering what I'd lost. Nick said later that October was the best month of our relationship. I'll never forget that. It's what keeps me sober now. October ended. I told myself I'd go back to weed only casually, and that quickly fell away and I was right back to my old shit. I've always been someone who is very good at making things work for me wherever I'm at, and I couldn't shake the desperate hope that I could do that with weed as well. By this point it was making me physically ill and unable to keep down food, so I knew I was going to have to quit again soon. It was just going to be damn hard. Andrew told me he was coming back for Thanksgiving. The plane trip had traumatized me and I had known since then that I had to end things, but I procrastinated and made excuses and kept on getting high. Nick's mom got COVID, she is severely overweight and immune compromised, the high risk you could ask for, and things escalated quickly to her being put on a ventilator and into a coma within a week of her diagnosis. The family was in pieces, Nick needed me desperately. I was there for him but I was a shell of myself, couldn't even be there for myself. He asked me if I wanted to go to the hospital with him to see her on the night I planned to see Andrew. I chose Andrew. She woke up out of her coma and one of the first things she asked was, "Where's Evangeline?" I will never be able to comprehend what I was doing. I don't even remember. I just know what I've done. We took everything from me. My respect for myself, my future, my grip on reality, my morals and my happiness. Everything. I gave it away. On December 13th Nick and I were going through my camera roll, we scrolled past a picture of Andrew and I together around Thanksgiving. Just together, not doing anything. He said, "What was that?" I had just gotten high right before we sat down and I couldn't comprehend that this was happening right now. I tried to lie. Like a ducking rat. I quickly realized that it was time and I told him the truth. He kicked me out, told his family immediately, did all the right things. I will never forget the look of horror, betrayal, shock in his eyes. I used to be able to picture it clearly but my brain blocked it out now. What have I done? He said he forgives me, but will never forget what I did to him. Said he could never possibly trust me again. Yeah. What was I doing? What was I thinking? Why did I do that? What was I thinking? He was shopping for rings in December. I have been sober since December 13th. Longer than pretty much since high school. I have gone to confession and back to church. I pray every single day, whenever I have free time. For myself, for the world, for him, for the forgiveness of those I've betrayed. I've slowly been retraining myself to do hard things and to enjoy again the hobbies I abandoned to get high. I'll be okay. So will Nick. He has an amazing family, and lots of friends, and they all know what I've done so they can support him correctly. Please, guys, weed is not your friend. It is your parasite. It enabled me to do things I never thought I was capable of. I still struggle to comprehend how I did the things I did. It haunts me daily. I don't expect sympathy. I don't deserve it and it's not what I'm here for. I am struggling immensely and I just want people to hear my story and know that I'm not a monster. I adored Nick, he was my best friend, my biggest supporter, the love of my life. I just wanted to take care of him and be in a healthy relationship. I let it all fall to shit. And now I get to face life without him. I guess I just want to be a testament to the effect of weed and of becoming addicted to the wrong person. Sorry if the ending was kind of rushed, there is just so much and I'm working with a ruined memory. I'll answer any questions if you have them. My name is Evangeline and this is my story. Yeah, sorry, pot doesn't turn you into a cheater. That's 100% on you. Stop using pot use as an excuse and seek therapy as to why you did what you did. You didn't want things to work out with Nick. If you did, you wouldn't have been ducking Andrew. You made choices, really hurtful ones. Find out why? Men, you read all that? I got lost around paragraph 86. Same, I do not have the time for that novel. Smiley face, smiley face. Seriously. It was exhausting. I could not get too far. Comments section should be more interesting. Yeah, I had to stop at paragraph 56, which could have been about 10 paragraphs itself, once I realized she was never going to hold herself accountable. I got lost after day 3, mouthless face, of reading. Same, that was a novella. Same here. I had to get to like paragraph 8 to even come close to the cheating part. Post was one big DARE PSA rather than cheating admission. Well, at least she, sort of, broke it up into paragraphs. Amen. Weed doesn't magically transform you into a terrible person. Weed is not the reason your life is off track. You are. Grow up and take responsibility for all the things that have gone wrong in your life. Own your mistakes. Get some help. Stop beating yourself up and learn how to love yourself. Learn coping strategies that don't involve completely shutting down. Make amends with your family and friends where you can. Block Andrew everywhere and leave Nick alone. It's not going to be easy, but I really hope you can make your way through. Yeah man, I'm 27, been a ducking hopeless pothead for 10+, been in a relationship for 5 and still managed to keep my cat in my pants, woman shrugging. Awesome. Don't put me in a box. The reason I'm sharing my story is to challenge shit like, well, if you wanted things to work out you wouldn't have done so and so. People duck up. I ducked up. You can't just march over with these broad assumptions and think you have everyone figured out. Weed did not cause me to do what I did, never once did I claim that. I take full responsibility for my actions. But to say that it wasn't massively influencing my thoughts and behavior would be a lie. I have been self-reflecting every single day since the breakup, and the amount of times I have thought, why the duck did I do that, what was I thinking? What is wrong with me? Is innumerable. I am completely unable to relate to my mindsets and decisions from the past year, and it scares the shit out of me. I put myself at an extreme disadvantage to make good and right choices by constantly using a mind-altering drug. Yes, you did blame pot, just as you did in your last sentence. I am completely unable to relate to my mindsets and decisions from the past year, and it scares the shit out of me. I put myself at an extreme disadvantage to make good and right choices by constantly using a mind-altering drug. Pot has proven to help people with anxiety, not turn them into cheaters. You need to seek therapy to figure out why you cheated. First, weed can help some people with anxiety, but for others it can cause it. That's why I stopped 24 years ago. That's why pharmaceuticals come with warnings that some people it will help, others it will kill. I agree with the therapy comment. I've said everything I need to say. You're already convinced of your own opinion and you're not listening to what I'm actually saying. Don't tell me how you think I need to deal with my issues. I have made immense progress on myself with what I'm doing currently, and I will not be returning to therapy so that I can pay someone a large sum of money to bounce my thoughts back to me. Therapy is a band-aid. Rededicating my life to God and putting good out into the world is a much better fix. Well, why did you come here then? This subreddit is where cheaters get attacked, so you can't exactly be a snowflake here. Like, really, weed was the reason you cheated? No, your decisions are what lead to this mess. You're basically pulling off the same excuse like blaming alcohol for infidelity. Seek therapy, that's how cheaters and addicts change. Your view of therapy is flawed. You obviously aren't doing well on your own because all your comments are hostile. If you want to change, put in the effort. Therapy helps people, but you need the right therapist. I said what I said. I contradicted myself, lol. I couldn't read it all, but it's pretty much blaming everything else except yourself. Blame the Navy for stringing you along, blame your friends for dragging you down, blame your dad for not helping you more, blame weed. Looking in your old high school windows for a glimpse of old memories. Written like a real bad teen movie. You need to do a lot more self-reflection. This was all on you. Time to grow up. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.